Now with this incredibly useful and easy to make circular saw guide, crooked, wonky cuts with your circular saw are now a thing of the past. In fact, I'd have to say that this is the simplest, most useful jig that you'll ever get to make. And to top things off, all the tools you're going to need are a circular saw and a cordless drill. How good's that? Come on, I'll show you how to make one. Oh, by the way, make sure you watch right through to the end of this video where I'll do a test to see if this thing actually does what it says on the tin. Okay, let's do it. Come on, let's go. Now for the circular saw guide, I'm using a sheet of 17mm black form ply. Now this is going to give us a nice slippery surface for the saw to glide on. But you can also use regular plywood or MDF, which will also do the trick. Now for this project, you can just use scrap plywood if you have it lying around, but you just need to have at least one factory edge available, as that is what the base of the saw is going to be running up against. So it has to be dead straight. The first thing we need to do is to cut the strip that our saw will be riding up against, making sure that one of the sides is the factory edge. The edge, which is the non-factory side, can be just cut freehand if you like, as this edge won't be involved in any activity. But if you want it to look good, use a straight edge to achieve a straight cut. Next, we need to cut the base for the saw guide, and once again, I'm using a straight edge to achieve a nice straight cut. Since we're talking about straight lines, how can you tell when a moth farts? Sorry, breaks wind. It flies in a straight line. Dear oh dear. An oldie, but a goodie. Kids gotta love that one. So basically, these are all the pieces that we need for our jig. But before we go ahead and screw down that top strip and then finalize that cut along this edge, I just want to make a handle over here somewhere that'll make it easier for me to pick up and carry. Now just remember, having a handle is optional. You don't have to do it, but I think it would be a good idea. You'll just need to have a couple of extra tools to do it. Now just a quick tip, make sure you clamp the piece down that you're jigsawing, that way it'll reduce the vibration and you'll finish up with a much cleaner cut. Now with all that cosmetic prep done, rest the saw up against the strip with the factory edge, making sure that the base of the jig is sticking past the blade of the saw. Remove the saw and mark the position of the top strip. Then duplicate that measurement down the other end and mark that location with a pencil line down both sides. And then just simply apply some glue between the two lines and screw the strip down. Looking good. Yep, I like it. Now all you need to do is run the saw hard up against that strip with the factory edge, and you'll finish up with a jig that matches perfectly to your saw. And as you can see here, we now have a perfectly straight cut. Happy days. Okay, time for me to add my obligatory optional image transfer before we put this jig to the test. Okay, without further ado, let's test this bad boy out. To use the jig, all you need to do is simply line the edge of the guide up to the mark on both ends of the sheet, clamp it down, and you're good to go. Now that was so easy to do, and you finish up with beautiful straight cuts every single time. Check that out. How good's that? Now you may have noticed that I've made my circular saw guide larger than a standard size 4-foot or 1200mm sheet. That way, if I need to make an angled cut, the jig is long enough to handle it. As you can tell, I absolutely love this jig. Now look, I know what you're thinking. It's time to start binge watching some more DIY for Knuckleheads videos. Well, you're right. You should. Starting over there. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm out of here. Cheers. Oh, alrighty. Let's go cut some stuff.